2021 is full of highly anticipated fights, and in my opinion, the biggest fight is Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight championship. The bar, it keeps getting raised by Israel Adesanya. He's moving up from the middleweight division to the light heavyweight division. That's a 20-pound difference. This jump up in division is like none other that we've seen before. In a sense, this is a jump in two potential weight divisions. Men's weight divisions are typically 10 or 15 pounds apart from each other. Middleweight to light heavyweight is the largest jump up in weight, 185 pounds to 205 pounds. Much has been made about this challenge Izzy has embarked on. But how important is weight? Before we go any further, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do a weekly podcast and talk about breaking news in the UFC and MMA. Israel Adesanya in every single interview seems to be asked if he would look to put on more size when he steps in the cage against Jan Blachowicz. From surface level, it makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going up in weight divisions, why wouldn't you pack on more mass so you can take advantage of the weight? You will be much stronger and will look the part when standing amongst the light heavyweight division. But what do you do when you pack on all that extra weight? Are the pros greater than the cons? Izzy and his camp believe that gaining weight simply to satisfy a weight limit doesn't make sense.
Fight in the light heavyweight division, how has your preparation in terms of conditioning differed from this bout in comparison with your
It hasn't. Same thing, same shit, different night. Same shit, different fight. Just get ready to beat another dude, and we just prep for that guy. I didn't really do anything like everyone thinks you're gonna get, muscly, put on some size, whatever. None of that. It's the same shit, different fight.
Izzy, Jan sort of chucked out the old, he's never felt my power before, which is exactly what Paulo Costa said a couple of fights ago. Jan has knocked out a former middleweight champion, Luke Rockhold. You've fought heavyweight before in boxing and in kickboxing. Is there a difference stepping up in that weight class? Like, do you feel a difference in power of your opponent?
Yeah, definitely. You feel a difference in power when some glancing shots or when they hit you or hit your arm. But also you feel the difference in speed. They're a lot slower. They're a lot more. It take a little while to get to their target, put it that way.
And not having to, like you talked about your weight just before, not having to worry about cutting weight, do you feel like that's an advantage?
I can still make 185 if I have to. Mark my words. Even if I want to prove a point like Tony, I'm not stupid like that though. But yeah, I could still make 185 if I want to. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm still gonna eat clean fight week. I'm still gonna jump in the sauna fight week. I'll just be able to drink water in the sauna. That's all. But I'm not going to differ from anything I normally do. I'm going to keep the same energy, keep the same routine.
This sentiment is not only echoed by Izzy himself, but is also done by his longtime coach, Eugene Behrman. In a recent interview, he went over what Izzy is going to do and look like before the Jan bout. So as you can see, his coach and his camp acknowledge that Izzy is going to be the smaller person. He's going to go in there less than 205 pounds. So what does that mean? So he's obviously going to be the lighter person and probably you can assume the weaker person. Not saying that Izzy is not strong at all, it's just Jan is going to have that power difference, both in striking and grappling. What's also very interesting is that he says he's going to have a very tight and strategic plan. What does that mean? Does that mean that they don't deviate from that plan? Does that mean that they're specifically acknowledging and looking for something that Jan does in the fight that they want to take advantage of, and also don't want to be taken advantage of by Jan, right? Because Jan is a stronger fighter. Are they looking to completely avoid the grappling exchanges? Are they looking to completely avoid the ground? What does very tight strategy actually mean? And lastly, prioritize skill over power. I get it. Technique is always going to beat power, but sometimes it doesn't. Always does not mean 100%. Or maybe it does. Actually, always means always, 100%. But in this situation, there is a possibility where Jan might take advantage where he can. He has the power advantage. He has the grappling advantage. Izzy does get hit. Izzy does get touched. Izzy does get grabbed. In new posts from Izzy these days, he looks a bit different, but not anything drastic. All the signs are pointing that Izzy is upping his strength and conditioning, all while remaining relatively the same size. Jan will have the grappling advantage in this fight and the power. Question is, can Jan even get a hold of Izzy to demonstrate the power advantages? Many believe that Izzy will replicate what he did to his other opponents and finish Jan. There is a clear advantage for Izzy in the striking department. Izzy has the hand speed, technique, and diversity on his side. Jan has trouble finding his opponent, especially in the early rounds, and doesn't have the fastest hands. Jan reads his opponent's movements and reactions to slow down and implement his own game plan, which leads to a finish for him. Izzy in recent online posts and interviews is exuding confidence in his matchup. It seems that he and his camp have watched Jan in action and believe that he won't last that long. All the things that people believe are Jan's advantages in this fight will actually be his downfall. I, for one, don't blame them for thinking this way. Jan is the much slower fighter between the two, has a tendency to bite on feints, and lastly stays in the pocket longer than he should. Regardless of weight, it's one thing to watch tape on Jan, and there's another to step in the cage against the Polish power. Do you think Izzy's weight will be a factor in this fight? Or will Jan get a hold of Izzy and impose his will?
Who doesn't love a champion versus champion fight? You know what I mean? It just, the build-up is always good. There's a lot of hype behind it. And Jan's shown, I mean, this guy's dangerous. He's really battled back from like a 2-4 stretch in his first 6 fights in the UFC. Battled his way up to becoming light heavyweight champion. But he's got to go against Israel Adesanya. And that guy, I mean, this guy is so good. He's got an aura of greatness. He fights so well, ever improving. So, I mean, brimming with confidence. The guy's a special athlete, not just a special fighter, just a special athlete in general. It's hard to pick against a guy like that. I got to go with the man, Izzy Adesanya. I actually have his shirt in my suitcase, so I should have just went and grabbed it and like put it on the screen. But yeah, I'm pulling for Izzy this fight.
Adesanya and Blachowicz, how did you see that going down? Obviously, champion versus champion.
Israel, I've got him. Yes, he's for sure. I feel like he's just got more tools in the box, and I think he's going to pull out the win for that one.
I think it could be really good for our division, even if Izzy loses. Like, as long as Jan is competitive and it's a good fight, and you know he shows that he is the champion of the world for a reason. Obviously, if he beats him, that's huge for our entire division. It shows how strong we are and how good our champion is. And we've kind of played this round robin thing where some of us have beat this guy and he beat that guy, but I beat him. And like, so we're like, if Jan beats Izzy, we're all fairly comparable up there at the, you know, like in the top 10, like any kind of one of those guys could beat any other guys. So, that would be phenomenal. But even if Jan loses, but it's a close fight and he's competitive and he has a good showing, I still think it still really highlights our division.
So how do you see that fight going down? What would be your prediction if you had to, if you were an analyst for this one? How do you see it going down?
I think stylistically it definitely favors Izzy. Jan is he's not crazy mobile. He does have a habit of standing in front of people. He doesn't have really, really dynamic head movement or footwork. You know, he just kind of plods forward, and he has this amazing ability to like slow the fight down to his pace. He did it to Thiago Santos at the very beginning, and then Thiago was able to turn it back up, and that's where Jan got caught. But he did it to Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes fights very fast. He has a lot of movement, and Jan was able to drag him kind of in his kind of slow, methodical type of fight. If he can do that to Izzy, I think he has an opportunity to be super successful. But I just don't see Israel doing that. He's too dynamic of a striker. But Jan is really big. I've been next to both of them, and it's very clear that those guys are separated. It seems by more than 2 weight classes. They're, you know, like Jan is a big dude. He's so big. So I don't know what that looks like. Izzy's hard to get a hold of, so maybe that size isn't really an issue. Well, I don't know if Izzy's power will translate to light heavyweight, but he's not really known as that power striker. He's kind of like Conor. He's crazy accurate, and his timing is really superior to anybody else that he fights. So I think like punching power comparably to the rest of the division, I bet Israel's not even in the top 10 as far as the actual strength of the strike. It's on the button every time, and it's in the perfect spot every single time. So I don't know. I mean, I would favor Israel just because he's been so dominant up to this point, over guys that have semi-similar styles to Jan. I think the only real thing that changes anything is his size. But Izzy's crazy hard to get. I mean, there's how long we've been saying, well, if he gets taken down, we'll see what it looks like. Like, it hasn't happened yet. So I mean, he's done a phenomenal job of kind of guarding that part of his.
Let's start a discussion in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.